Okay, recent question today. Who pays for what on the day of closing? So the day of closing is always considered a seller's day unless something else is agreed to, which it usually isn't. So that means that the electric bill, the water, sewer, whatever it is the seller's responsibility for that day. And if you're a buyer, you would have all of those switched into your name for the next day. So that's that. I just had a great closing this morning with some wonderful people. One of my listings in Lee, New Hampshire, and I'm so happy to see it closed. It kind of sucks because sometimes you form really good relationships with your clients and you don't get to talk to them every day anymore. But something tells me Lori and I are going to stay in touch. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is seller beware. And I'm talking about escrow holdbacks. So if you don't know, an escrow holdback is a way to close out a transaction where there is something that still needs to be done and paid for by the seller, usually by the seller. So a good example of an escrow holdback is, so I'll use new construction as an example because it's where we see it most commonly. So most commonly in new construction, we'll see it with grass, because a lot of it will close in the winter. So if you're closing a brand new home in the winter, the grass hasn't been installed, and usually the driveways have not been installed because the asphalt plants don't open until spring. In that case, so that the buyers can still move into their property, the title company or an attorney will hold a certain amount of money. Sometimes it's 1.5 times the amount that actually is due. I know for FHA, like if it's painting, sometimes it's exterior painting and they will make you hold 1.5 times. But regardless, this amount is held from the seller proceeds in an escrow account by an escrow agent. The important thing to know here is that the escrow agent is a neutral third party. They are not a judge and jury. So the idea is that the work gets done, whoever did the work submits the invoice goes to the escrow agent, and then the escrow agent pays that invoice as per the escrow agreement. So sometimes the proceeds will just go right to the seller. If the seller had paid for it, sometimes it'll go right to whoever the tradesperson is, and then with the balance going to whoever it's owed. Depending on how your escrow agreement is worded, and this is where a seller beware, because some title companies, if they are holding escrow, will only hold escrow if their agreement is used, and their agreement is written a certain way. And you have to be really aware of the timeline on those agreements. You have to be really aware of the procedure on those agreements. Sometimes both parties have to agree that the work was completed as per the agreement in order for that money to be released. And if one party does not agree, even if you can prove that the work was completed as agreed to, if the party does not sign off on that money, the other party is not receiving their funds without going to court. So again, the escrow agent is a neutral third party. They will not make a judgment on this. So it's an important lesson to learn. So some ways to protect yourself in that is to have a good look at the escrow agreement and understand all the verbiage and the timelines, and making sure that you note the timelines in your own calendar so that you can follow up and deliver the material at the right appropriate time on time. The other thing is that if you are a seller and this is being held from your proceeds, make the escrow hold back the smallest amount of money possible. Sometimes with an FHA or an RD or a VA loan, it's impossible. They require a certain amount, but if it's something with a conventional loan, that's kind of that number can be worked with. And third, if you do not agree with the escrow agreement that the escrow agent will allow, because sometimes they will only allow their own particular agreements, by all means, find somebody else to hold escrow. You can find an attorney to hold escrow and have a different agreement written up. If you've got any questions about real estate, values, escrow holdbacks, becoming an expert in that, Hi, Sarah O'Brien. I see you waving at me. By all means, send me a message if you're watching this on Facebook Live. You can send me a message below. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, all of my information is below. Have a great day.